Big Ten players absolutely were killing it in the NBA combine, early measurements for a lot of these guys. Now, we don't have every single Big Ten player's early measurements, but we do have a good number of them thanks to Jonathan Giovanni from Draft Express and some other guys. There's another guy, I think his name is John something. I forget. We'll see his Twitter profile here in a minute. But we're going to kind of go old school here, a little bit. I didn't have a ton of time to be able to make graphics for this episode, guys. I'm sorry. I normally love to make graphics for you guys, but just didn't have a ton of time tonight to be able to do this. I'm doing this at like midnight right now. So we're doing our best here, but this was definitely some information I wanted to get out there. I'm really interested to see what happens with the NBA draft and stuff like that. So we're going to hit on some NBA draft measurements, and we're going to hit on one of the players that doesn't have measurements yet, but he did have a very high test in a certain area. Let's start with Aday Mara, and we're going to get a lot of the Michigan guys early here because it was a huge win for Michigan and their players here in the NFL in the NBA draft combine. All right, so first one, Aday Mara, absolutely absurd. 7'3", barefoot, essentially 260 pounds, 259.8, 7'6" wingspan, and then just an absolutely absurd 9 foot 9 inches standing reach. That is the second longest in combine history, tied with Mark Williams. The only one taller is, of course, if you follow the NBA draft combine, Taco Fall is probably not going to pass him and stuff anytime soon. The dude was an absolute giant, but like this is absolutely absurd. Generational size, one of the longest reaches ever measured in the combine. He is going to be an insane lob threat. He's going to be a mismatch nightmare. He has shown defensive ability that NBA teams are going to love. Like Aday Mara, there's no way he comes back to Michigan by any means. Like it's just not happening, especially after you get measurements like this, especially with his age. Teams are going to be drooling over Aday Mara. I'm not saying that he's going to be like a top 5 pick or anything like that, but I would not be surprised if some of these measurements get him either in the lottery or close to the lottery, with some of these things. So he doesn't necessarily have some of the, athleticism and stuff like that, some teams want, but this type of size, the ability to anchor down low for you in the NBA game, he is going to be a guy that's going to be mismatched a little bit when he plays on defense. But if he can continue to improve and create that better lateral quickness and stuff, he's going to outplay where he gets drafted at, and he's going to make a team very, very happy. So biggest winner of the entire group is Aday Mara. I loved Aday Mara from the beginning. Ever since I saw him at UCLA, I never felt like Mick Cronin used him right. Sorry, UCLA fans. I never felt like Mick Cronin used him right. Too much drop coverage and stuff like that. Or not drop coverage. Too much hedging and stuff like that. You got to get him more into drop coverage and things like that. So, it is what it is. Obviously, the NBA game a lot different from the college basketball game in a number of ways, but all of the college basketball game is getting more NBA-like. So, going to be really interesting to see what his career looks like in the NBA, but I think Aday Mara is going to have a pretty good career in the NBA, and I think he really, really helped himself with his draft position. All right, before we get into the rest of the Michigan guys, we are going to hit on the biggest loser, because I'm going to start with the biggest winner. We're going to start, and then we're going to get to the biggest loser. Biggest loser was John Blackwell. So 6 foot 1/4 barefoot, 199.6, essentially 200 pounds, 6'2" and a fourth wingspan. That's like a negative inch of where he is supposed to be. He's an 8'2" standing reach. I mean, he's solidly listed in his height and his weight for a wing guard type of guy. Like, he's solid to good in most of those areas. But as much as, Aday Mara had the second longest standing reach in NBA combine history, this is one of the worst negative wingspans we've seen in recent combines. I mean, you're going to get him with the T-Rex arms and stuff like that. There's no way John Blackwell does not go back to Duke next season. Obviously, that's what everybody thought was going to happen. That is definitely what's going to happen, especially after these measurements. John Blackwell, he's going to have to really show out this season to be drafted highly in the NBA draft. I do think teams are going to like him. I do think teams are going to like his game, but teams are not going to project him as, one of the best players in the league or something like that, especially after this stuff. So not great. If I had to give a grade on this, I'd say like a D or something like that, just because this really does not help him. So Sorry, biggest loser in this situation. I don't want to call guys losers, but just is what it is. It's the nature of the analysis here. Winner's a loser. John Blackwell, unfortunately for him, is a loser, and that's John Chepkevich right there. That was the other one I wanted to shout out for him putting his stuff out there. All right, let's get to the two other Michigan guys. Morez Johnson, 6'9", 251 pounds, 5. That would be incredible. Incredibly crazy. A 7'3.5" wingspan and an 8'11" standing tall. Excellent height weight combo for a modern power forward type of guy. Plus, you get the wingspan, near 9-foot reach, making him a rim protector, a rebounder right away. I think there were probably some people that were maybe a little concerned with the 6'9" type of stuff with what he's going to do, but overall, I don't see any cons here, really. I mean, like he plays above what his height is, and he comes in. I mean, the worst thing out there would have been if he came in at like 6'8", 6'7", something like that. But that's not the case. I mean, he's got a huge wingspan, excellent for him, a good standing reach, to almost be 9 feet. This is a fantastic win for Morez Johnson, and he's going to have a good career in the NBA. I guess if you're a Michigan fan, you are probably a loser in this situation because there's no way Morez Johnson's come back to Michigan next season. I think pretty much every Michigan fan knew that at this point. There was maybe a little bit of hope, but Morez Johnson, he's going to go to the NBA. I'm almost positive at this point, and he's going to be very good in the NBA. Good NBA type of game that he has, and he's really developed well. So other Michigan front court player, Yaxel Lendeborg, no shocker here, 6'8" and a 4th, barefoot, 241, 7'3" and a quarter wingspan. He is over 9 feet standing reach as well. I mean, you got elite length here. It's really going to help him, especially on the defensive end. His versatility to play 3 to 5, seamless positional fit, great rebounding, rim protection potential. No surprise after last year, but still just outstanding stuff here. His only con, and he honestly might be the last one drafted of this Michigan trio. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what teams think. But the 24 years of age next season is going to knock him a little bit, but that's not what they were testing for here. So this is an A for Yaxel Lendeborg, a big winner as well. Another guy that was a winner, even though we didn't get exact measurements on him or anything, and maybe not as much of a winner for Illinois fans. Not a great time at the NBA draft combine for them. Andrej Sakovic with a 41.5-inch max vertical. I did not see the end of the combine, how things turned out, but at least after he did that, he was the new leader in the clubhouse here, according to Isaac Harris. I mean, he has that explosive leap, his ability to get to the rim, and you knew he had that explosiveness, especially with his speed, his ability to get to the rim with what he does. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Andrej Sakovic. I still don't think he goes to the NBA with the lack of shooting that he has, but you never know. I mean, a team might take a flyer on him, and as we know, Andre wants to get to the NBA. Peja wants his son to get to the NBA, so I still think he comes back to Illinois. I'm not going to change my opinion based on, one max jump here or anything at the NBA draft combine. But I would not say it's a for sure thing that he is coming back to Illinois. I do think that this is a situation where Illinois fans need to be watching the mock draft, seeing what some of these experts are saying, because I do think it's going to impact Andrej Sakovic and what his decision is going to be. So we'll see. Other guy for Illinois fans, and not a great measurement showing here for one, Keaton Wagler, 6'5", barefoot, 188 pounds, 6'6", and a 4th wingspan, 8'4", standing reach. I mean, you got good height here. Like, I'm not going to come out here and not knock Keaton Wagler at all. Like, he's got good height for a combo guard type of forward guy. He has the ability to move on the ball and off the ball too. So you like that type of ability and the measurements to be able to fit that. But he's still just a lighter frame and functionally shorter due to some modest arms and reach and stuff like that. So plus defender, I think, for the NBA. I think a lot of people like his defensive capabilities, but I shouldn't say he is a plus. I don't think he's a plus defender. Sorry. I don't think he's a plus defender with the arm and the wingspan and stuff like that. So a little unfortunate here for Keaton Wagler. He was getting mocked, kind of near the top 5. And I think Jonathan Giovanni actually did have him in the top 5 at one point. don't think Keaton Wagler is gonna be in the top 5 after this one. I think he's probably gonna be closer to maybe 8, 9, 10, especially with some teams looking at him and saying, yeah, we're gonna need to develop him a little bit more. He's got a lot to his game, but it is gonna be interesting to see how he translates to everything. So I would say a slight loser here for Keaton Wagler, just because the measurements were maybe not everything you wanted to see, but overall, he's still going to be drafted high. He's still going to be an incredible talent in the NBA, and he's going to have it all in front of him to be able to do what he can. Next one. Even shorter guy, Bennett Stirtz from Iowa, 6'2.5", 186.5, 6'6" wingspan, 8'2.5" standing reach. Good length for his height. I mean, this is a situation where, yeah, he doesn't maybe have the length of Keaton Wagler and stuff like that. Only by like a fourth of an inch. He's nearly 3 inches, 2.5, I guess, 2.5 inches shorter, but he only has 1/4 of a wingspan less than Keaton Wagler, only 1.5 inches less of a standing reach than Keaton Wagler. So even though he's only 6'2.5", and you would maybe like to see Bennett Stirtz be a little bit taller there, he has good length. So shorter than some listed people expected. His frame is pretty light. He's going to need to put some on, but overall, I do think with his age and stuff like that, I do think that Bennett Stirtz probably going to be maybe not as high as some people think, but he's still going to be pretty high up there, and he's still a talent that a lot of people are going to like. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Do you think Keaton Wagler will be drafted first, or do you think Bennett Stirtz will be drafted first? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to get your thoughts. Probably the second biggest loser here. And I guess you could say he probably is the bigger loser because he can't go back to college. Here is Braden Smith, 5'10" and a fourth, 166.6 pounds, 6'3" and a fourth wingspan, standing reach of only 7'9.5". This is not great here for Braden Smith. I mean, he's got a solid positive wingspan. Like you can tell he has that wingspan. He has the arms. It helps with the passing lanes, the steals, stuff like that. And that was evident in college, but just an extremely small stature overall. One of the tiniest players measured here. Low weight, short reach limits his physicality and stuff. So this is not great for Braden Smith here. Now, his teammate, Trey Kaufman-Renn, did get called up to the NBA Combine from the G League Combine, so that's great for him, and Purdue fans should obviously be excited about that. But, yeah, this is going to be a John Stockton, DJ Augustine type of guy if he wants to make it in the NBA. We'll see what happens. The NBA, they treasure height and things like that so much right now, even more than they did back in the day with guys like DJ Augustine. So we'll see what happens, but this is going to be really interesting to see how things go with Braden Smith. Probably like your second best winner of the day. I mean, obviously the Michigan guys did great. Morez Johnson could be your second best winner, but Hans Steinbach from Washington, measuring in at 6'10" and a fourth, 248, 7'2" and a fourth wingspan, 9 foot standing reach. I mean, strong across the board here. Added nearly an inch and 19 pounds in 2 years. Excellent growth and frame that shows you that you can continue to develop this frame. He's a young player, and teams are going to love the ability to kind of develop this frame a little bit better with him being able to show some versatility in those areas. I mean, this is a really strong winner. He's a modern prototype, big measurements type of guy. And, I think if you're a Washington fan, you're looking at this and saying, all right, well, Steinbach can, be drafted pretty high there. That's a recruiting pitch Danny Sprinkle can have to be able to go out and do that. So great stuff there. And last one, we still didn't get guys like Tyler Bilodeau or Jamie Fierce Jr., at least not at the time of me making this episode. So we'll have to get back to them another time. But Ohio State guard, Ohio State scoring leader for his career, Bruce Thornton. A little bit bigger than Braden Smith, but not by much, only 6 foot tall, but he has 223, a 6'5" wingspan, 8 feet and a half inch, standing reach out there. Stocky, strong build. As much as it doesn't play super well into his size and measurements and stuff like that. It does play into the type of player he is. So this is something that teams are going to look at it, and they're going to look at film, and they're going to say, yep, that's who Bruce Thornton is, and that's what he's going to be in the NFL. So height is still short. He relies too much on his muscle and arms to kind of compensate with some of that stuff. So that is going to be an issue for him. But I would still say it was a good combine of measurement for Bruce Thornton here. Obviously, he'd like to be a little bit bigger and stuff, but Bruce Thornton, he's definitely going to have an opportunity to prove himself, and we'll see where he goes. So overall, my biggest winners, historically elite, Aday Mara, Hans Steinbach, probably 2 or 3 in the situation. You got Yaxel Lendeborg, Morez Johnson were huge winners as well. And really your biggest, losers in this situation, and you could probably, John Blackwell to me is probably the biggest loser, but the fact that John Blackwell can go back to college and Braden Smith can't, you could definitely say Braden Smith the biggest loser in this situation. So the rest were mostly solid guys and kind of what you expected. So if we get some more news on the other guys, we'll do a segment on here and talk about winners and losers and stuff like that.